Welcome back to the Unwritten Podcast with me, Thomas Malpass. Today I have a very special guest, Aline Henley. She's a spiritual leader, and in this episode we talk about ego, emotional health, emotional intelligence, spirituality, our inner child, and much more. We also dive into her game, her card game, which is very fun. I recommend you go checking it out. Stay tuned for the episode to figure that out, but I highly recommend it. Other than that, don't forget to support the show by subscribing as we grow our following to thousands and millions of followers. That's my vision. So enjoy and see you in the episode. Welcome to the Unwritten Podcast with your host, Thomas Malpass, where we are on a mission to help the world find more purpose, passion, and peace in their everyday lives. Through deep conversations and connection, tune in because we are all on this journey of life together.
The training to go to using podcast as a place for my inner child, which is ego, to come and just say, it's okay, you can be seen, it's safe. It used to not be safe when you were 4 years old, but it's safe now. And so it's training ego to serve the purpose of the soul.
Yeah. Wait, you said your inner child is part of your ego?
Yeah, it is. Ego, I mean, we all have both. And when the ego shows up as a disempowered being, it is the inner child wounded, perceived wounded. When ego shows up as a servant, king for the queen is being seen and felt. And to move away from the child that is being wounded to become a king, so I call that from the prince to the king, it's the training to actually be responsible to hear the design of the queen, the messages of the queen, the embodiment of what we truly are.
So when somebody calls somebody egotistical,
well, that's their problem, not the person who actually shows up. That's a mirroring of what the critic, the one who critiques, is actually sharing. If you tell me, Aline, you're I don't know, egotistical, it has nothing to do with me. It has to do with the mirror that you're seeing within you when you're looking in the mirror that I am. It has nothing to do with me.
So it's kind of like the way you explained it to me sounds like gaslighting.
Yeah.
I recently seen I think every interview with Elon Musk goes viral, but he was just on this, I forget, Don something, some interviewer, journalist, news guy, and the interviewer was just, I can't stand these types of interviewers where, especially it's more prominent in, like, I guess those political debates, but he was basically calling out Elon Musk for censorship because he owns Twitter X now, and he was like, so basically what you're saying is you support hate speech.
No, I don't support it. I just don't buy into it.
Yeah.
I don't buy into it. I don't add.
No.
Right?
Yeah, that's what Elon Musk was trying to explain. He was like, no, I don't support hate speech.
Right.
There's hate speech is just a part of free speech, and we're not promoting it. Just because it's on the platform doesn't mean that I support it and, like, yay, go hate speech. No, it's just part of free speech. And that's what Elon Musk was saying. Like, we will censor stuff that is straight up illegal. And hate speech is not illegal. And then the guy was basically trying to like, basically like gaslighting, like putting
Mm-hmm.
words and explanations on to Elon Musk. And it was just like, what are you doing? Like, I don't,
Yeah.
I can't stand that when people do that.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, I think it goes back to that mirroring effect. Why are you trying to, it's like you're trying to flip the script in a
Mm-hmm.
way. I don't know.
Well, I mean, what's happening is the we are responsible for our truth. How we share our
Mm-hmm.
truth is belongs to us. Like if I say I love you, you have no clue what that means because you don't know what I is for me, love is for me, and you is for me. But you're assuming that you
Mm.
understand my word because of how you understand your I, your love, and your you. Do you
Mm.
understand this?
Yeah, it's kind of. I like the way you explain things because it's like it makes me think. Uh, you speak very like poetically.
Mhm.
Um, it the way you explained it, it reminds me of like the love languages.
Absolutely.
It's like I like to be loved this
Mm-hmm.
way, and it may be different from the way you like to be
Mm-hmm.
loved, and also show love and give
Mm-hmm.
love, and feel
Mm-hmm.
loved.
And that doesn't make your love wrong or mine wrong. We just have to find a way to
Yeah.
meet in the middle. And in order for us to meet in the middle, we're first going to need to know who we are individually. Because if I can show systematically myself in the light when I meet you, and you can show yourself in the light when I meet you, we're going to meet in the light, and
Mm-hmm.
that's going to be extraordinary experiences. But what's happening is very often because human being today in the 21st century is so limited in his self-understanding, in his self-awareness, that it shows up assuming, expecting things from, like, expecting the light to come. Well, I know a lot of people, me included, sometimes I showed up in my freaking darkness. And my husband is like, what the heck is going on? And if I don't catch myself up, it's like, oh, hold on, that's mine. That's mine to work on. That's not yours. I'm not going to ask him to fix my
Mm.
darkness. That's not his job. That's my responsibility. He's here to remind me, you dropped into your darkness here. You're reacting. You're emotionally reacting. And so you're not you. You are ego, child, being wounded. And it's like, oh my gosh, thank you so much for reminding me where my work is. I'm going to do the work. I'll be right back. That is how we move.
What if we don't have that?
You mean in a relationship?
Yeah, how do we do that? How do we catch ourselves?
That's self-awareness, deep work. I mean, this, like, becoming a master is not an overnight thing. It's not because I read a book. It's
Yeah,
not. It's I've done
yeah.
this work for since 24 years old. It's been 30 years, day in, day out, with a lot of internal work in the cave. But that's the thing is wisdom. It requires time and space and experiences, experiences, experiences.
What is expanses?
Anything that you experience that you have the ability to observe from a detached point of view and realize this is mine, this is not mine.
Mm, I like that
Mm-hmm.
detached point of view.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I like to live my life, to be
Mm-hmm.
honest. Like not like completely detached, I
Mm-hmm.
guess, because I feel like you have to have some sort of connection to whatever you believe in, higher power, spirituality, conviction, belief.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, that I'm more attached to. Um, but then again, I'm not completely attached to it.
Right. And this is what I call the like when you were saying, um, how do we achieve to be detached that way? There is the perception, the understanding that we have this life is very horizontal for most people. 99% of the world thinks that and believe that that life is horizontal. There is a vertical life that we are also at the same time. The attachment in the detachment is that experience. is that I can be attached. We are attached. I mean, we cannot not be attached. We have a body on this planet. We are attached, right? But we don't
Yeah.
have to be attached when the experience is no longer honoring who we truly are. And we have to be able to have created a space where we can continuously honor who we are when the surrounding here is not able to do it. For that, we go back up in, I mean, when I said up, it's reconnecting from our divine spark to actually know I am always at the right place, right time, doing the right thing because I am the right one. The fact that the world does not mirror me, that I am the right one, doesn't mean that I am not. It means that it cannot recognize my truth yet.
Yet. Yeah.
Right?
Keyword.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think that all just takes, uh, like you said, getting into that cave of our mind and starting to notice, I guess, notice small things and take a step back, because we can get overwhelmed and feel like we're just running on the hamster wheel of life and just trying to survive. But I want to know your story, Aline. So can you tell me, who is Aline and what got you on this journey of growth and enlightenment and the cosmic energies from 30 years ago, maybe even your childhood, and what led you up to that pivotal moment that led you to where you are now?
Yeah. Well, thank you for giving me an opportunity to share this. So, to the answer of who is Aline, I still am I'm unfolding the process, but I'm suddenly more connected to her as a whole today than I've ever been in my life. I was born in France and in a family of four, and I am the second one in my siblings, and so I had this experience of always being the second one, never being the first one. And once again, it had nothing to do with the way my mom or my parents nurtured me, but that's what I came with. I came with, I'm not enough because I'm not the first one. I exist, but I can never be the best or the one because by nature I was born second. So even so, that's part of the landscape emotionally that I carried on in my psychic. So my psyche was like, oh, okay. And I had a brother who is super smart. The culture of the 21st century put on pedestal people with a very high IQ that are succeeding intellectually. And here I am. My brother, the first one, is super smart, and everyone is telling him that he's super smart, and I'm not super smart. I'm not as smart. So there is this, unfolding experience of systematically being subdued by a world who is telling me you don't belong. Because in order for you to belong and survive, you need to be super smart, and you need to be what you're not. So that's been a little bit of the emotional threads, fabrics on which as I stood. I was born in an atheist family where what you see is what is. You are born, you survive, and you will die. And there's nothing before, nothing after, and that's what it is. And although there was always within me that knowing that there's something greater, but no one around me who could connect the dots for me, right? And so I grew with this lack of compass, of inner compass, trusting what those with authority outside of me were telling me life is, or life is not. And of course, you go to the end of the corner where these belief that you are given are no longer, because they are so disconnected from who you are, they're going to get you in the wall. And the age of 24, everything collapsed. My health collapsed. My love life collapsed. My connection to my family collapsed. My finances collapsed. Everything collapsed. And I felt in a complete, total victimhood consciousness. Like the world was against me. It was impossible for me to be present here. And until I met this guy, who was actually my piano teacher at the time. And it was a little fascinating because he had this dual culture. He was Russian. He is Russian, and but he lived in France. His parents moved to France when he was a younger kid. So he had this dual cultural experience of being a high mystical energy about him, which is very Russian, and very Western, experience of more like intellectual and rational and emotional because of the French, but just like it was very unique. And he was also somebody who was practicing Japanese sword, and so he had this Eastern Zen vibe, so to speak, at the same time. So it felt very mystical, something I've never felt in the spiritual realm. Like for me, being an atheist or coming from an atheist family, there was like the idea of God was very like.
Oh, really? Like your whole family was
Everyone
atheist.
being deceived
They didn't.
by the concept of God when they were younger, growing up. And so my parents decided our kids are going to be taken away from this BS. And so
what? Because I used to think I was an atheist until I like really dug deep.
oh yeah,
And was
no
like,
doubt.
wait, no, there has to be more. Like we don't just live and die and that's it.
Yeah.
Like if there's anything like I connect with the most, it's probably just energies.
Yeah.
Like we're all energies. There's a higher energy that we're connected to. Maybe you could call it God. You can call it the collective conscious. I don't know what you want to call it, but that's what I believe in now.
Yeah, and definitely. This is also what I moved to reconnect with the concept of the divine that was actually aligning with me. And I actually felt so much gratitude for having chosen my parents as souls to not giving me, like I didn't have to go against something that was given to me. Beside, it doesn't exist, and now I have to go from nothing exists to something exists, and it's everything. To me, it was like, oh, that's a lot easier than having to dismantle something that existed in certain paradigms, and I have to transform these paradigms to actually make it mine. It felt, although it was very similar, but it felt like I'm starting from nothing to create everything.
Yeah.
Right. And yeah, at the age of 24, I had a conversation with this guy who, I shared all of my poor me version, like all of my poor journey in the world being against me. And, for an hour and a half, he provided me a space to share, which no one has ever done
You
before.
vented to him.
It's like literally vomiting my dramas. And he never said anything for an hour and a half. We ended, like when I was literally feeling empty of all emotional sorrow, sadness, anger.
Yeah, you released
totally.
it. Yeah.
He just told me, he says, you talk to me about all of these people who are not here, who I don't know, I probably would never met. But he said, the common denominator to all of what you've experienced is you. And so he told me literally, and I'm sorry about the words, but what the fuck is wrong with you? And he could have given me a slap in my face that would have been exactly the same thing. And it pissed me off. It really got me so angry. I left. And I went back in my little apartment, and I was like pacing back and forth in like between the two walls,
know.
talking to myself out loud and having these two voices. The ego that was just like, who the heck does he think he is? And then my inner voice that, because I didn't have any more emotional drama, it was so much
Mm,
easier to hear her talking, saying, this is not totally wrong. It actually makes sense. And this is probably the place where there's the most power for you to transform things. Because if it's not yours, you
mm,
cannot change it. And then
yeah.
suddenly it was just like, I need to call this guy back and we need to have to continue the conversation. And then that's what I did. And we had a conversation of 3 to 4 hours afterwards, you know.
Oh
And
wow.
then he was just like, tell me about this God thing that you like. And he opened me up to an an understanding, or at least a door to look at the divine in a very different way than what I've
Mm,
ever heard before. And that was the door that I needed to, like, oh my gosh, it does make sense. I don't know why, but it does make sense. And then suddenly just,
mm.
saying, that's the door I need to keep being curious and go deeper in it. And that was, you know, first, obviously, like,
That was a
that's
start.
it. That's how it started, like reading one book, and then this book leading to another book, and this book to a training, and to another discussion, and then to meeting somebody and to have an experience, and then to go places, and then for for 10 years of 9 years of really digging into the theory of things with a little bit of embodiment, a little bit of experiences. And then
Mm,
at 9 years into it, that's when I moved to the States. So within that period, I moved to the States from France when I was 28, 29 years old, and not knowing the language. And,
oh wow.
and
That's how old I am right now.
there you go.
I'm
There
29.
you go. Yeah. And yeah, and then finding myself with the world of possibility, because I was in a brand new environment. People don't understand me, but I didn't understand myself anyway. So it was like, I'm
Wow.
reborn. Hey, let's just rebirth here. Right? And
So how'd you navigate that?
I let curiosity lead me through
Hmm.
whatever my heart was telling me. It's a heck yes. If it's a hell no, don't go there. If it's a
Mm,
heck yes, go there. If it's a, well, maybe it's possible, it's a heck no.
yeah. No, that's really good. I literally had a podcast where I spoke with a founder of this like successful clothing brand uh, called Not Dead Yet. It's called Not Dead Yet
I
Clothing.
love it.
uh, but he said the same thing. Like whenever you're feeling lost or you don't know what direction to take, those answers of uh, fuck yes or fuck
Yeah.
no, um, that's a good indicator of what direction you should
Mhm.
take.
And when you were mentioning earlier that, like the you felt the same as, moving into the cave, and, in our mind. And
Mm,
I would add that to me, it's actually needed to get out of my cave of the mind to go into my
mm,
cave of the heart. Because
yeah.
that was when I started to find myself. I was caught into the cave of my mind with incessant thoughts, believe, have to, shoulda, woulda, coulda, and outside belief that had nothing to do with my truth, and
Mm,
that I was trying to find myself in those, which I could not, because they didn't belong to me. And I had to go
mm,
drop into my heart, finding that cave where, which was scary because it had all of the narrative with the emotional um, energies and information that belonged to it. So the fear, the scarcity, the sadness, the not enoughness that I had accepted, it was real here, because I had to go through all of and every single one of those that were illusion, because I've always been enough. I've
mm,
always been whole. I've always been uh, when I am here. And the reason why we don't go in the heart, it's because we first need to feel. But when we move beyond the
So,
feeling, we're going to find the truth.
so what is the, I guess, what does that the path look like for that? Like, how do we transition from, like, I like to say, like, the analytical mind into the intuitive, wholesome
Mm-hmm.
heart? How do we transition
Well,
from that?
it's the path is actually very unique and very individual. I cannot tell you what the
Mm-hmm.
path is for you. I can tell you that I have
Mm-hmm.
found for me that every single time I tell myself when something is happening that I perceive I have not called for, planned, consciously intentioned, I go back into, and that is where my mind's like, oh, why? What is it? Like, I need to analyze what's going on in order for me to control what's going on. I go with,
Mm-hmm.
I am always at the right place, right time, doing the right thing because I am the right one. Therefore, that which is coming to my awareness is me. I have created this. I have revealed this
Mm.
for me to keep growing. How do I look at this in an altered state of consciousness? This is life. This is whole. This is amazingness, extraordinariness. That if I react and feel the emotional reaction as fear, anger, sadness, just what it is, guilt, shame, I'm not high enough in my
Mm-hmm.
perception to look at it and know where it fits in my extraordinary life. My work is to elevate that
Mm.
information, because if we think of it, you and I right now, we're looking here at the same thing, right?
Mm.
If I ask you what you see, you're going to describe what you see, which is the same thing as me, with blue and an apple and then two things, whatever, whatever. If I look at it from my side, I see something very different. It doesn't make you wrong. It doesn't
Oh
make me
yeah.
wrong. But what's happening is, if
Mm.
you're telling me, oh my gosh, I see blue and a silvery apple, and I'm feeling, oh my gosh, I want to go see what he sees because I don't like what I see. My responsibility is to go sit down where you're looking at and just look at it and see how I
Mm.
feel. But it's going to be different than what I feel, which is dark or. And so the reset button for me to drop into my heart is, because I am the right one, I'm always doing the right thing. And what I'm looking at is mine. So I don't have to react to something I created. I'm just unaware of my creation because it's my unconscious that created it. But there's nothing wrong with my unconscious. Therefore, there's nothing wrong with that experience. I just do not have the capacity at this moment to factor it into my extraordinary life. And that's my responsibility.
Mm. So how how do we begin to believe that, like you were saying, you're the one,
Mm-hmm.
and I guess you're in the right place? How do we begin to believe that? Like, how do we begin to be like, I am I am the one. I am in the right place. This is right for me.
Well, when you think about it, you cannot be somebody else. So you're the one you know.
Mm.
This is just pure, that's like you're the one. You're the one you know. And your body can
Mm.
only be in one place and one time. So you always at the right place. You may not always understand why, but you always are where
Mm.
your body is. So if you are where you are right now, you have taken you wherever you are. What on? Can you hear me? Yeah.
Oh, you
Yeah, yeah.
froze.
Let me just make sure that my phone, my computer.
It says
Yeah,
app is not focused.
yeah. Okay, hold on a second. I'm going to transform this.
If you have anything like taking up a lot of
Everything else.
RAM in the
Okay,
background.
let me see. I'm just gonna take this out. Take this out. Uh, everything is should be, let me see. Is that working better? Like it, yeah, the message is gone, right?
Yeah.
Okay, okay,
Yeah.
okay.
It usually happens. It says it's not focused when you have something else taking more like data
Yeah, that
in the
makes sense. Yeah,
background. So usually if you close it
yeah.
out, it
I'm
would go
going
back.
to plug my computer. I'm going to take you on a journey with me, if that's okay, because I have my charger over there that seems to be working better than this one. Hold on.
Okay.
There you go. So yeah, so what we were. Okay, hold on. Hopla! Look at me traveling. Okay, let me give us some juice. There you go. Okay, I'm going to turn on the light. Now the light is on. Perfect.
Oh, nice.
Okay. Um, so yes, you have one body, and the body can be only here and now. So you're always at the right place because you cannot be somewhere else. You can, but you're going to have to then be in moving, and that's going to take you to another place where it's exactly where you need to be because that's where you are.
It just sounds like easier said than done though.
I'm not saying it's
Especially
yeah,
somebody
I'm not saying it's easy.
especially somebody like uh a person like the first person I think of that I'm trying to help here
Mm-hmm.
is somebody who always seeks outside external validation in finding more pieces of
Mm-hmm.
themselves without like the I don't know you've met people who just they always need some sort of other person to help them figure out what path they should take instead of like looking
Mm-hmm.
within. They're always seeking other
Mm-hmm.
things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's the reason why they keep getting lost. It's because they're choosing to listen to
Mm,
somebody else's path. Like that's the reason why I cannot tell
mm,
you how to like what's the path for you to go from here to here. I can tell you it's possible because I did it. I can
mm,
tell you that if you tune in, you will find the path because it's where it is. But I cannot do it for you and I cannot tell you exactly what it is for you because of the uniqueness of who we are. The uniqueness of our experiences means that the path is unique. No one else outside of you can tell you what the path is. We can just remind you that it's possible to find it. And that should be enough to inspire you to go find it.
so how do we I guess how do we begin to catch ourselves when we're falling down these negative mindset, discouraging, victimization paths? What are some ways we can catch ourselves to stop it and then uh, reset back into knowing you're the one, you're in the right
Yeah.
place?
Well, I'm a big believer that love is the way and it starts with
Mm,
us. And so um, at the moment that we are simply choosing to accept that what we are experiencing is not negative or positive, it just is, we're
mm-hmm,
going to relinquish a lot of power to that we use to fight the negative, and we're going to redirect it into just moving our awareness toward where it needs to be, which is observing something that works for us and
mm-hmm,
something that does not. So for me, habits to to create habits to start with, we don't need after to keep them because it becomes so much of who we are that we don't need to be disciplined anymore. But it starts with this. We have to be
mm-hmm,
disciplined enough for us to actually look into every day, I will dedicate my time to myself, to meet myself in ways that I don't know who that is. That's what we do with a lover. somebody we don't know from nowhere. Suddenly we're spending all of this time because we want to know them, but we are unable to do that with ourselves because we take ourselves so much for granted and we know so little about us that, but we giving all of this energy outward to meet somebody who looks like fits the boxes, like it checks the box of that's the lover. How can I recognize love if I don't even know it within me? Right? So the work to me is find the courage to meet yourself. You are a lot of fun when you spend your time with yourself. You're going to find your best friend. That's the idea. And at the moment that we can create enough momentum to sit with ourselves, because every day we've practiced, and it can start with 5 minutes. Journaling is one way to do it, but maybe people are not into journaling. They don't like writing. That's fine. Talk to yourself for 5 minutes. Maybe you don't like that either. Well, look at yourself in a mirror and then feel what you feel for 5 minutes. Once again, we will know what is true for us. But what we need to do is to give ourselves the power to spend time alone. And that is such a scary place. It's a lot easier to get on our phone, connect with somebody on the other side of the earth and say, oh my gosh, those are my people. No. If they were your people, they would be born in the same family, they would be with you. These are your people, but they are scary. Like, I'm not saying they cannot be your people. They make you comfortable. But that's not, we don't need comfort. Comfort is not what we need if we want to grow. We need discomfort to grow. And everything that makes us feel uncomfortable in our life, we need to challenge ourselves to go out there. But it starts with the discomfort of being with oneself.
What about people who feel lonely? What if you're always alone and you feel lonely?
Yeah.
And you do the work, but you still just feel lonely.
Okay, so it's beginning to dismantle the possibility of being alone. Like we wish we would be alone, because the thing is, at time, like the loneliness is the disconnection to self. Lonely is me not knowing, like literally feeling disconnected to all that is. When we are connected to being alone, we are connected to the divine. It's impossible to feel lonely when we are connected to the divine, because we are connected to all that is.
So what is the divine?
What is the divine? And that's a very unique expression. I remember having this communication with my mom one day, this conversation. She came to the States to visit me. And I was at the time more and more vocal about my truth, and which I knew was making her feel uncomfortable, because she came from a reactive choice of disconnection from the divine for herself, and had tried to prevent us from being connected to that divine. And here I am coming up and sharing the divine. And so, of course, her reactivity was true. It's like she was trying to tell me that it was all, fragment of my imagination, that it was not true, that it was
BS.
right. And so, and I was telling her, I was like, and everything is a fragment of your imagination. Everything. It's just how are you going to give it power, and how are you going to give it not power? And I said, if today my life is empowered and extraordinary because I choose to connect myself and give power to that fragment of imagination, why is it that it's making you react? It's not my connection to the divine that is making you react. You're reacting to the fact that you're still angry at that connection within you. And why are you still holding that connection? It's because it defines you. Because through the connection of the divine, the way your narrative is, you personally believe that your father was taken away from you because God made a choice that was not yours. And he has defined your entire life through it. All the choices you've made afterwards, you've made it because of your anger, and your anger is still held within you today. And it's not going to just go away because you say, go away. You're going to have to transmute that experience of anger for something greater. And for that, you're going to need to relinquish your narrative and be curious to explore the divine in a way you don't know what it is yet. And so it opened the door. And today my mom is connected to the divine in a loving way instead of in an anger way.
No, I can only imagine how that conversation went. I mean, I hopefully it went smoothly to a certain extent.
No, that conversation was animated, of course, because she was in a reaction, of course. And my work was actually to be the wisdoms, like, I don't react to the divine because that's not my experience. The divine is the safest place for me to be. And so...
No, I have a similar story with my own mom because she... I don't know, for whatever reason, just it's exactly the same. Like my mom holds on to this feeling of anger or a traumatic past that I don't think is fully healed. So it's like it could be completely unrelated, and she will like go off because we have like a family group text chat. So she'll write a whole paragraph of like just all caps with exclamations and all kinds of stuff, and then just start attacking me for whatever reason. And I always tell her like that, like she'll like say something about my like toxic ex or something, like to try to attack me. And more often than not, I just say okay. And then I say, if somebody was truly like fully healed and the past is in the past, right? If you're truly healed in that peace, you wouldn't have this emotional response. You would be healed in that peace. You wouldn't be trying to attack somebody. So that's just my similar story.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely, absolutely. And that's it was literally what led her to crack the egg, so to speak, of her realizing like I was not reacting to her reaction. And so it was just like, how can you be so calm when you're surrounded by somebody who is angry, fearful? And just because that's what God is to me. That's what the divine is. That's what love is. And so, I always use or consciously, and more, the work is to choose the filter of what would love do. If you act from if your answer and your choice that you're going to make is the answer to that question, what would love do? The world would shift instantly, because we're not choosing from love. 90% of our choices are chosen from reactivity of stories and narrative and experiences that are developed between 0 and 8 years old. You looking at the world right now with 8 years old reactivity in recess. And some of us have to be, because of the responsibility of higher level of consciousness, we have to be the teacher that sometimes like, go to your room, like go to the classroom, like let's go sit down and talk about this, like what is going on.
Go to time out.
Yeah, time out. It's like, but we understand, because I was 8 years old and I was 12 and I was 15 and I was reacting and I was emotional like loony. I understand why from fear, when I chose from fear, this was my life. The work to me is to remind people that is actually a choice. It's not just that's what it is. It's actually a choice.
It is what it is, yeah.
Right? It's an unconscious choice very often. But it is a choice, and we can choose something different.
I like to call it a default choice.
Yeah.
It's like you have like a default mode, and when you get into these like triggering events It's like, at least for me, for like seeing my mom, it's kind of like predictable at this point. It's like, okay, here she goes with
Mm,
the all caps, and all right, it's
yeah,
like,
yeah,
all right, let's let her calm down. Let me send her some like funny memes to calm her down or something.
yeah. You know, I started a French group during the pandemic. Talk about, you were talking about being in the cave of the heart, which is what the pandemic
Yeah.
ultimately gave us an opportunity to create. And so
Mm,
I created a cave for the heart, which was really just a mastermind group for my French people. And my mom, my sister, my aunt decided to be part of it. Not that I pushed them, but I invited them and said, "Oh yeah, that was going to be nice to learn something." And it's been like we've been doing it for nearly 4 years. And these three
mm,
women, like this experience has healed the ancestral divine feminine lineage of my family. It
mm.
is absolutely extraordinary. My mom was telling me, "I gave birth to you for you to come free me."
Oh wow. Wait, you said your mom
Yeah,
said that? Sounds like she grew a lot.
coming from the place of like, you know, the hair just like, God,
You live and you die. Yeah.
right? But that's the thing, it's like it requires the commitment and the discipline to say, yes, every Monday morning I'm going to meet you and I'm going to be there, being a mirror of love as I know love to be.
What does love mean to you?
Love to me is, it's a total acceptance of what is, mixed with a curiosity of discovering the other that represent my unknown and being excited about discovering more of me because I discover somebody else's.
Hmm. Yeah, I'm still discovering love
Mm-hmm.
myself. I think the best description that I've felt in my life of love is the love for my daughters.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and kind of it's kind of exactly how you explained it. That's like a perfect definition. It's like that's that unconditional love. Like you accept them for making mistakes, for throwing tantrums, the good, the bad, the ugly, and then you feel it also from them. Um, and then you just, I don't know, love them for who they are. It's like just you just love them for being.
Exactly. Yeah. And that implies that you are now more capable of loving yourself for being, not because you do or achieve
Mm.
something, but it's because you just are the right one.
Uh, that's the new mantra.
Yeah.
So, do you believe in synchronicities?
I it's almost like I don't believe in them. I know that that's the path. That's how I read my
What do
soul.
you mean?
That's how my soul connect with me. That's
Hmm.
my language. That's my fourth language that I speak. It's in synchronicity. When I have a question and said, "Hey, what should I do? Like, show me the next thing that I need to do to keep moving Aline into more light." I start and I said, "I'll pay attention to your answer," and the answer comes in synchronicity. And so I just read synchronicities because that's a language.
I have a definition of a synchronicity.
Tell me.
I'd like your
Yeah.
opinion about it. So, a synchronicity um, is a psychic law first identified and actualized by Carl Jung and is a powerful force that moves through all of our lives, often ordering dimensional alignments that offer intuitive guidance, needed wake up calls, signs, opportunities, revelations of one's life's purpose. and it may open new doors and access to new unlived potential.
Yeah, that's very theoretical, but yes, that's what it is. Yeah. If I can share more of an analogy,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
for me, it's when you're looking at the sky at night and you see
Mm-hmm.
the stars. It's beautiful,
Mm-hmm.
right? But because there is when you have learned to connect the dots, those are the synchronicities. Like you're connecting the dots of certain stars to create certain patterns, such as Orion belt, for
Mm-hmm.
example, or the Big Dipper, or Small Dipper, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Suddenly, you can follow these to move forward in your life because you know where you're going.
Mm-hmm.
Synchronicity to me are those, they are existing. They are information that because you said, where do I need to go? They are going to be grouped in a certain way, show up in a certain way that is going to be for you. It's like, this is where I need to go. Because you can recognize these as these are the direction I need to take. And so, but that's exactly what it is. But the pattern exists already. It's just the fact that we are asking the question, we are looking at this symbology or this that bypasses the linearity of our conscious mind to understand them, to find order. It's a holistic order that allows us to function in a more holistic way. And since the divine is whole, the divine is not linear. The mind is linear because it provides a way to use time and space.
Mm-hmm.
Like we can use this information in the 3D through time and space. That's why we need linearity. That's why our mind is essential for us to take all of
Yeah.
this information to put them holistically into a linear way. It's like if you go to school the first time and you go for math, and I throw at you 3 books thick like this, and I'm like, and here is your year, good luck. You're going to be exploding. But if I, with my mind, just tell you, okay, Monday morning from 8 to 9, you're going to do this chapter, and then tomorrow you're going to do this chapter, and then after 4 years,
Yeah, that's the
that's it.
linear. Yeah.
But reality, life exists whole in these 3 books. It's already there.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
But in order for us to know, how do I learn? What is best for me to learn all of what the content of this universe called math book? It's like, well, tell me, which one do I need to look first? And we are going to be guided when we ask the question, if we pay attention to synchronicities, on which chapter we need to start with.
Do you think your first story about talking to you said your teacher,
Mm-hmm.
do you think that was a synchronicity?
Oh, absolutely. I had been like, I'm tired of this, like I'm done with this, like I need a clue. And I could feel because it was like the volcano, everything was coming to explode. And you know how it is, like when something explodes, it's so much in your face, you have to change. You're ready. Like it was my call. Something's got to give. Like I can no longer continue doing what I do, believing that I am who I believe I am. And it was messy. It's the explosion. It was like, oh, dang. And so now we can start from different paradigm, accepting different information, because I had the courage to start saying, this is all mine to clean up and create order around.
Yeah.
Before I was not. I was still, it's not my fault. I didn't choose this. This is not mine. I cannot do anything about it. This is my mom. This is my brother. This is my sister. This is government. This is whatever.
No, I think that's the big problem with modern day victimhood, victimization is, I mean, I guess there's a time and place to be victimized and have empathy and sympathy, but I think there's also a time and place to be done with it. Like that victimization, whatever, like you feel sorry for somebody or you have empathy for them for a temporary time, and then you have to cross the bridge from staying in that and choosing to because what I think when I think of victimization, I think like you can't do anything. You're stuck in this victimhood where I can't do anything. I need people to cater me, to wipe my butt, to
I look at it, with the
bathe me.
well, yeah, and I look at it really with the experience of like a home, for example. That's the same difference as renting a home and owning a home. When you own your home, you can change whatever you want in it. You don't need to ask permission to somebody for you to change something. It is yours. If you want a different color, if you want a different yard, if you want to, you just say, that's what I want, and you do it. If you rent a place, you're going to systematically need to ask permission to somebody else to actually make your environment comfortable. The likelihood is if somebody says, sure, you can do it, that's fine. But the likelihood is it's not going to happen because the owner is going to be like, that's mine, that's not yours. I'm not going to change it because it's going to make me uncomfortable. And so to me, it's like I have to move myself in owning, in being the owner of that information, that experience, that relationship, that conversation that makes me feel uncomfortable if I want to give myself a chance to transform it. Right? And
yeah, you have to take the power back.
Yeah.
How how do we? Well, actually, what does surrendering mean to you?
Surrender, the experience of surrender is, the way I look at it, is a transcending experience. So surrendering is moving from a lower level of consciousness to a higher one. Because, for example, and I don't know if you have ever read the book Force versus Power from David Hawkins, it shows, and it's a very linear book that explains consciousness from a very scientific point of view. And in it, Dr. Hawkins is showing the map of consciousness, how, after it was measured, and how we are this consciousness, and we are experiencing ourselves in shame, guilt, sorrow, sadness, anger, pride, courage, neutrality, acceptance, and so on and so forth, all the way to enlightenment. And surrender is moving from one lower level of consciousness to the next one or further up. Why? Because surrendering is, we're surrendering what our current expression of ourself is, to access to one we don't know yet that is above. The reason why we're reacting emotionally is because we are giving power to a certain identity of ourself in a situation. So if I need to let go of that identity to regain the power, I need to actually elevate myself to do so, because there's more power accessible higher than where I am right now. But for that, I need to let go of saying, I am feeling what I'm feeling because of this outside of myself. So it's relinquishing the need to be identified by like ego is saying, this is the reason why I'm angry.
Yeah.
So that means I am anger. And so a friend of mine who went to to Africa for a trip one day was telling me that she went to visit a tribe, and that was part of their trip. And in the tribe, the language is so fascinating because they're not saying I am angry, but the translation is I have attached myself to anger. And that changes everything, because the I is not anger. There's two different things. There's the I and there's anger. And anger, I agree, I own, I have attached myself to anger. I can, therefore, detach myself from it to reattach myself to something else.
Yeah. I think we went full circle with the attachment detachment
Exactly,
thing.
exactly, right? And that's what the surrender is. Surrender for me starts with the temporary pause of identifying myself to something that is in front of me that I said, that's what's happening to me. No, that's happening, and I'm looking at it. And I can choose how I react or respond to this. But I can only do that because I'm looking at that from a higher perspective.
But do you think they're, because like I was saying in the beginning, I've kind of always been detached, but that has also made it harder for me to fully express my emotions.
And that,
So do you think there's a time and place to feel and maybe react? Like, for my first thought is, if somebody very close to you died and passed away,
mm-hmm,
right? You're gonna kind of be in a reactivity state in that moment.
mm-hmm.
Um, so when, how do you, I guess, like, stay detached but attached to that emotion and allow yourself to just fully, because sometimes you do just need to fully
Mm-hmm.
express yourself, whether it be anger,
Mm-hmm.
sadness, grief.
Well, the work is to identify once again, am I detaching myself to save myself? Or is my
Mm,
detachment a real spiritual experience, an expression of who I am? Because I am looking at something that is not me. So I can be detached from it. It's like I'm when you go watch a movie,
mm,
if the movie is a drama, are you like all in and out, like maybe while you're watching the movie, but once you get out of the room,
mm,
hopefully for like the following 20 years, you're not going to be reliving that movie.
mm,
That's the same thing. Technically, it's the same thing, which means everything is a movie that plays in front of us. And the way we're reacting to it or responding to it is, are we an observer of the movie or am I an actor of this movie? We are all technically at once. We can choose to be either the
yeah,
actor, the observer, the director, the script writer, the what, just name it. So yes, the
yeah,
being emotional is the nature of the human being. We want to be emotional. This
yeah.
is like the divine that cannot be emotional unless we
Mm,
are allowing it. That's a lot of power for the
mm,
human being. Now, becoming that emotion and holding on to that emotion, what for?
mm.
We have not understood the power and purpose of emotion as human beings today. We are addicted to emotion.
Well, it's funny because some of my siblings, because I'm the youngest of four, and I 100% agree with what you're saying, but they don't understand it from my perspective. My sister always makes fun of me. She's like, "Oh, like you have to like schedule your cry or something. Like you have to like schedule your."
Yeah, yeah.
I'm like, I mean, yeah, like I have. There's a time and place where, or sometimes, like you were saying, I'll watch a sad movie and where I'm
Mm-hmm.
just like, now's a good time to maybe let a tear out or something from
Oh,
from
I cry
my
in front of
past.
movies. Oh my gosh, do I cry? I mean, yeah, no, that's true. Yet,
Yeah.
it's part of this again, this mastery of real of acceptance of what is. When we accept that
Mm,
everything is part of, what we understand is that our reactivity is coming from, again, like perceiving that if somebody dies, for example, it creates separation. This is not the truth. It's not a separation, not
mm,
when you are on vertical expression of who you are. But the people who have not yet experienced and embodied that verticality, they are experiencing only the horizontal version of themselves and in where separation
mm,
exists. So if the body is not here, life is not here. And you are going to be left with a depression caused by that separation that is going to need time to mend. When we have access to both of the matrix, you can get out of the matrix horizontal to get into your vertical matrix. And either way, because you are both, we are both, we all have access to both, we can never be in, once again, we can obviously have a human experience of, yes, sadness that is going to be, because there's a truth of this physical experience is never going to be happening ever again. That's true. But that doesn't mean that the being is not going to be here. We can have an experience of connection with that being, just in a different format. But we first need to create that format, that awareness of that format. Right? It's the same as, the radio wave. Like, if you only have always, heard AM as your radio, and then your AM breaks, and you're like, oh my gosh, I don't have a radio anymore. I cannot listen to music anymore. Like, no, you have still FM, but you have to tune into FM. And that is requiring different subtle networking and connection and fine-tuning. And the work that of self-awareness, to me, personal development, spiritual growth, it's all about making the subtle and the intangible as tangible as the physical body and the physical experience. When you're in it,
so like,
yeah.
Like alignment. The first thing that I think of is alignment.
Yeah, no, totally.
Being aligned.
Yeah. And that's in the name, Aline. Align.
Oh yeah, that's your name.
Right.
So do you want to talk about the cosmic compass?
Yeah, I would love to. Yeah, absolutely.
What is the cosmic compass, and how does it work?
So the cosmic compass is a medium that allows, as I shared a little bit in the beginning, that allows our answers to come from within, instead of somebody else telling us who we are, what we need to do, how to do it. And so it gives us the 8 information that already exist in our consciousness or subconscious, that because we have not factored them into a specific pattern, our conscious mind doesn't know how to use them to make us move in clarity. The game allows us to actually do this, to give us the higher perception on what we're looking at right now in our life, so that we can see more. And when we can see more, we can do more. So the game starts with a question. What's important for me to know now? What's important for me to know about my purpose, about my relationship, about love, about prosperity, about purpose, just name it. And then you have 3 card decks that are going to be used to place 8 cards in the design. And while you're understanding the quality of each cards, like the energy of the cards, where they're going, you're like, oh my gosh, that makes so much sense. That is my answer to my question. And this is how I can do it. And this is what gets in the way of me not doing it. And that's how I can overcome my challenge. And that's how I can keep going. Like, you get the information that are practical to move your choices in the directions of your heart purpose.
I want to play that.
Exactly, right? Yeah. We can actually play it if you want to. It's totally possible. But
do we have time?
Well, we can like we can do it. I just did it in 20 minutes right before we got on the call. So it's up to you. Or if not, we can do it in another time, just you and I. It's fine.
I do want to play it, but
yeah.
I know we're coming on time, and
but we can do
another one in like an hour.
Yeah.
We'll make time to do it.
Yeah, it's not like you're far.
We can do it in person.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
I do actually offer cosmic compass soirees at my house, and where people come and we play the game together. And it's so powerful.
Wait, is your game on Amazon? Can I buy it on Amazon,
So
or is it like only you have it?
no, I actually designed the game and sold the game on Amazon. I'm sold that right now. And I just started a Kickstarter to print the travel version, which is lighter,
Mm.
to so that it can go global more easily. And so the Kickstarter has been on for 2 or 3 weeks now. And yeah,
Oh, you just started it.
yeah. I just kicked the
Oh.
starter or started the kick. Yeah, but it will be available in June. The version is going to be available in June to buy on Amazon. And in August, there's going to be a master training for people, if people want to coach using the game, which is an
Mm-hmm.
intuitive strategy tool that coaches, yoga retreats hosts, mindfulness practitioners can use to for
Mm-hmm.
themselves, but also as a coaching tool. And but there's a little bit of a strategy behind to learn to facilitate it the in the most efficient way to really create transformation. So that's what I teach, and that's going to be a 3-day event in Austin this summer.
Might have to go.
Yes, yes. I'll share with you all
No,
the.
I always love stuff like that. I always love stuff like I don't know. I just need to go out more. I guess I don't know.
Yeah.
That's like one of the main reasons why I like got a gym membership,
Hmm.
just to like go out more.
Yeah.
But do you want to cover anything before we move on,
Um,
or something you'd like to get off your chest?
oh, no, I think that, I'm so grateful for, people like you who offer spaces for sharing understanding, experiences, insights that I feel give different opportunity to look at the world, in different way. And so,
Hmm.
yeah, I'm so grateful for you to have created these spaces for people
I
like
mean,
me.
I'm grateful for you. Like,
Yeah.
I wouldn't be doing this if I didn't have like guests to speak with,
Hmm. Yeah, that's the beauty of life.
So
Yeah,
it goes both
yeah,
ways. Yeah.
yeah.
Um. So you ready to play this game?
Absolutely. I'm always ready to play a game.
You seem very like I don't know the word. You're very playful
Yeah,
person.
for sure. I remember when I awoke, so to speak, when I was like 24, it was really clear for me. It's like
Yeah.
I didn't come down here to work from 9 to 5, to pay bills, to
Mm.
heat my home, and take a bath. Like there's no freaking way I said yes to this. It is, if it's not fun,
Mhm.
if it's not joyful, I'm not in. And that's been the path since then.
No, I love that. That's like that could be a daily mantra
Yeah,
for somebody.
for sure.
Every day, wake up, ask yourself in life, whatever you're doing, am I, and what am I doing? Is that, do I feel like fuck yeah, or do I feel like eh? And then if you feel that eh, it's like
Yeah,
probably you should probably stop doing that.
yeah.
So this is the first
Okay.
one, and then the second one is completely random.
Yeah.
Share something joyful. If I wasn't working as a blank, I would be. Share something joyful if I.
Okay. So share something joyful. If I wasn't working as what I do right now.
Whatever you're
Okay,
doing,
I would be, dang, uh,
yeah.
because I am, that's my greatest joy doing what I
That
do.
is, yeah, yeah.
Um,
It's ironic.
yeah, I would be a,
Let's say a different timeline,
yeah,
the multiverses of
yeah, I would be a
Aline.
pianist.
Hmm. Do you like to play the
Hmm.
piano?
Yeah. Uh, this is during the pandemic. I told myself we were having a conversation with my kids, and we were stuck at home, right? And they were asking us
Yeah.
because they were doing school at home. We were doing homeschooling before, but they were saying if you were
Oh, nice.
to go back to school, like what would you learn? And I said, oh, I
Yeah.
would learn two things. I would learn Italian, and I would learn how to play piano. Piano, and uh, and then it hit me. I'm just like, I don't need to go to school for this. I can have fun doing this. I'm going to learn Italian and piano. And so I said, well, I'm not going to do two at once because there's so much one can do in a moment.
Yeah.
But so I said, I'm going to start with Italian
Yeah.
because I could feel the ultimate joy, like the joy in me, a year later being able to speak fluently. And so
Mm.
I said, Google, find me the perfect joyful platform for me to learn Italian. And then it came up with Preply, never heard of these before, and signed up for it, found the most amazing teacher ever. We are friends right now. I went to
Mm.
Italy, I met her, awesome. And
Oh,
and
wow.
I'm fluent in Italian. And this is so I said once I was done with Italian, I will do the same thing with piano. And so
Mm.
this is like it's opening now. I just started about like a month and a half ago. Uh,
Oh.
and the way that synchronicity you were mentioning is how did I knew how did I know that I was ready? It's because 2 years ago, I signed up for this app, those apps that you can learn piano or guitar or whatever. And,
Yeah.
I don't remember which one, the key flow or something. And when I bought the app, I did not pay attention that it was recurring every 2 years. And so a month and a half ago,
Mm.
I got this charge on my credit card for this thing. And I was just like, what is this? And I'm
Yeah.
just like, oh, you're telling me I'm ready. And so that was my cue. I'm like,
Oh,
okay.
yeah.
So since I have it now, I'm going to use it. And that's what I do.
Well, that's kind of what happened to me a couple years ago. During the pandemic, I wanted to learn a different language, but I never. I bought like Rosetta Stone or whatever,
Yeah.
and I never uh, stayed consistent with it.
The habits.
But
This is the habits, the
yeah,
discipline, and the commitment. When you follow through, you empower yourself. And that's the thing.
and you have to really want it too. You have to like really like. I really want
Yeah.
this.
But it's almost like that's what I was saying. Like, when I tune into the me who was already speaking Italian. Like I could envision
Uh,
myself in Italy, da, 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 teaching what I teach in Italian, and just like, oh my gosh, the joy in this. You bet you that I want to meet that girl. But in order to meet that girl exists already. I had to go meet her.
mm-hmm.
And that is,
Mm.
if I, same thing when people say, oh, I would love to go to Paris, then start walking to Paris. Every time you stop, you're not going to get there. The desire is the direction.
No, that just reminds me of that quote. Um, it's like step into the future you now
Mm-hmm.
or something like
Mm-hmm.
that. Like be who you want to be tomorrow,
Mm-hmm.
today, or something like that.
Absolutely. This is already
And
real.
I think yeah, I think there's a lot of power in that
Mm-hmm.
because once you do that, once you start to get into that mindset, you start to get more resilient
Mm-hmm.
on setbacks, and you start to have more conviction and belief
Mm-hmm.
in you can achieve
Mm-hmm.
what you want to
Mm-hmm.
achieve. So the setbacks don't feel like anything because you already know you're gonna achieve it.
Exactly. Yeah, no, totally. Go do it. Which language do you want to learn? Do you want to speak?
Well, it's funny because I did want to learn French. I want to learn. You could teach me French? No, I was just
Oui,
kidding.
oui.
No, it's funny because I took French in high school. I failed. I failed, and I blamed it on the
Yeah, these
teacher.
people, this teacher.
Well, well, the first year, well, it's because it was. I had French one, and then the next year French
Mm-hmm.
two. I failed French two, and then I had to retake it. But I blamed it on the teacher because in French one I had a uh like straight from France teacher. She spoke fluent French. She had a French family.
Mm.
She was embraced in the culture and everything. And then my French 2 teacher, she just had a master's degree in French,
Mm-hmm.
like just straight up like French, like teaching French master's degree.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like completely different learning experience.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, I ended up blaming her because that's why I failed.
Well, you know what's interesting is
It wasn't as
what
fun. It wasn't as fun. I think that's what it
yeah, and so
was.
you realize that for you to learn the easiest, the most effortless, you need to be with the energy of somebody who just is not intellectually stimulated by what you're going to learn, but is literally
Mm.
living the way. So it's
Hmm.
just like, yeah, I need somebody who is embodying that which I want to.
Like immersive,
Exactly.
yeah.
So now it's easier for you to find. That's why Rosetta Stone may not be for you the perfect space
Hmm.
because it's not immersive enough. It's very intellectual,
Yeah. Yeah, it really
right?
is. Like it's just kind of like that habit. You'd have to like build the habit
Right.
to constantly listen to these.
Yeah,
But I think for me, I would learn best if I had like somebody to speak
absolutely.
with in
And
French
that's
every
what
day.
Preply is all about. Preply is just,
Oh,
yeah, you
really?
just said, hey, I want to speak, French. You find, and you can choose, pick and choose the person. You choose your own teacher. It's so cool. I love it.
Well, shout out to Pripley.
Yeah,
If you're somebody's working there,
definitely.
come sponsor us.
That's absolutely.
No, I'm
Yeah.
just kidding.
Don't be kidding. Just good. Yeah.
Yeah, just do
Do
it.
it.
Um, well, Aline, is it Aline or Aline?
Aline, you were perfect the first time. Yeah, go
Aline,
with your guts.
thank you for coming on. I'd like to ask you these final
Sure.
questions. You ready?
Yes.
First question is, what is your biggest regret?
Zero. None.
If you don't have any regrets, what's your biggest failure?
Um, None. I only learned. Like there was not a failure in my life. Failure is not an existing experience. In every single person.
What's your biggest learning
Aha.
experience that you're like, man, I had to.
Yeah. Well, to lost myself for 10 years, like between, I mean, 20 years from 4 years old to 20 years old to, be disconnected and separated and feeling that I was not going to make it. And then at 24, realizing the power of that darkness, it's so easy for me now to actually recognize the light because I know for 20 years what the darkness feels like. If it's not who I
Mm,
mean, when I say the darkness, it's if it is not my truth, it's so easy to
yeah.
recognize it because I'm going to feel like I am or I was between the age of 4 years old to 24 years old.
Mm,
So these aspects of me for 20 years have been embodying who I was not. And so once again, it's so
yeah.
much easier after to just like, oh, I know what joy is because I know what not joy is. So the power of contrast
Oh yeah,
is,
yeah.
has done that. So it's in that way. That was the hardest learning curves because it lasted for 20 years. But what a gift. What a gift for
Yeah.
the 30 years until now that I am, and probably 50 more that are coming.
I don't know how old you are, but I hope you live a long, healthy life.
Yes, as you do. Yeah.
Next
Yes.
question. Who or what made the biggest impact in your life that makes you who you are today?
Well, that's interesting because I would tend to say that it's everyone who I've met has been a mirror of revealing an aspect of me as equally important
Mm.
in a very different way. When my father passed away, when I was 19, I didn't realize the power of his teaching by not being present. And
Mm.
and so his death was the moment
Impetus.
yeah,
Yeah.
definitely, yeah. But my mother, her having judged, being a younger mind who is just looking at the person who, why would you choose this? And, just like, and realizing with wisdom, like the amount of courage that is held in this woman, it's unfathomable to me. It's like the most courageous woman in my life that I know of. And my husband being the mirror of integrity, complete integrity, beautiful integrity. Like I don't know a man. Like I wish this man was president. I mean, this is unbelievable. It's just, oh
President.
yeah, because it's like what you see is what you get. I am is moving through the choice, through the
Mm.
action. There's nothing that he does that is incoherent with who he is, who he says he is. Not everyone agrees,
Mm.
but who he says he is what he's going to say, is what he's going to be, to choose to be, and his life is aligning with this. It's it's
Mm.
so strong, it's so powerful, it's so founded, so
Mm.
anchored. And so it had been a beautiful mirror on ensuring that I was that as well for myself. So it was a constant mirror of,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, is my I am, I feel, I think, I do the same? So that what I can experience is as I say I am.
No, that's what I tell people is like the trick to snapping yourself out of the comparison trap is instead of comparing yourself and getting discouraged and saying like, "Oh, how could I ever do that?" or "They're just so far ahead of me," or
Mm-hmm.
whatever the comparison traps
Mm-hmm.
you set yourself, start to compare yourself in that
Yeah,
way. Like that could be me. That maybe take that mirror and look within. Like I could do this. I can be better, and everything you just mentioned.
totally right. Yeah, yeah. So all of these, but my kids have also been the most amazing masters in my life, uh,
Mm,
reminding me of my own inner child, my limitations, my hopes and my dreams, and my need for deeper guidance, my empathy, my unconditional love. Like, um, yeah, I mean, creatures, even just as, yeah,
patience.
oh, for sure, absolutely, like, definitely.
That's like the biggest one for me.
Well, yeah, yeah, but it's such, when we can also be patient with ourselves, like that's the gift that they are also,
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
yeah,
It's like
yeah, totally.
so. Next
Hmm.
question. I guess we kind of already covered this because you didn't have a regret, but what is a lesson that you had to learn the hard way?
Yeah, yeah. To me, it's the lesson of the duality is
Mm,
oneness in a different way, and it's not like it's the illusion, but it's also a beautiful experience. But it's like that detachment in the attachment, and the attachment in the detachment. That's the thing to me.
The what? No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, yeah. That's really to me, that's the big lesson is really realizing that this is a beautiful illusion, very real, very well done. The magic trick is really good, but it's just an illusion.
What do you mean, like our
Hmm.
lives?
It's the Matrix, and it's fun to be part of it. It's like in a movie. It looks like it's real, and then when we're going to be out of this Matrix, whether we are doing it in this lifetime through being having enough awareness to realize that that's not only who we are, or because we're going to be dead and we're
Yeah.
going to go back to who we truly are. Either way, we're going to be like, oh my gosh, what a trip! What a trip! And
That body that
yeah,
you probably know what I'm talking about, but the that we're souls living a human experience.
totally. Yeah,
Like that, is that what you mean?
absolutely.
Like we look back and we're like, that human experience was pretty fun, wasn't it?
Yeah, you've never done theater, because to me, theater is that it's like you're taking the role for an hour or 2 hours of something, someone, and different identity for, and you play it fully, like, and you're in it like the best actor. Like
Mm-hmm.
you're in it. You even get an Emmy award because you've done it so well, right? And but you got out of
uh,
it. That's not who you are. Well, that's what we do with our life, right? We're playing a
mm,
big role and we are good at it. We believe we deserve the Emmy all the time. I'm like, hey, well done.
the Emmy of our
That's
life.
it.
The Emmy of our
That's
life.
it. Right?
No, I love that mindset because whenever you people start to like feel like they lost themselves or they lost a piece of themselves, or I mean it was like I was saying earlier about the guy that started the Not Dead Yet
Mm-hmm.
clothing line. We spoke like deeply about this because he was a Highland Games champion.
Mm.
If you don't know what Highland Games
Mm-hmm.
is, it's the people that lift those giant
Yeah.
logs
Yeah.
and they get the rock and they like
Yeah.
spin around and just throw it like super far. He was a champion in that
Wow.
for like a couple years. Yeah, and then he had to stop because some torn ligament or injury, and then he had to learn more about himself and identity because it's common in professional sports and professional athletes where I mean it could be anything that you're doing for so long and then you finally have a moment where you have to
Mm-hmm.
change or something changes and you have to step into a new identity. And I just tell people like you're not any one thing. You did that and you maybe loved it for a period of time, but it goes back to that
Mm-hmm.
detachment part is you're not that one thing. You're everything.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And when we look at the four different level or dimensions of a being that are physical, intellectual, mental, emotional, and spiritual, the one that
Mm-hmm.
has the least capacity to grow is the physical. So we're going to have to actually, in
Mm-hmm.
order for us to keep growing, it,
Mm-hmm.
moving away from the physicality is essential. That's the reason why we age. The process of aging is for us to detach from the need to
Uh,
build our power identity through our physicality. There's way more power in emotional
yeah.
growth and spiritual growth than in physicality when you are 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90. At 90, you can still keep evolving spiritually. You can no longer, after 20,
Yeah.
you're done with your physicality. That's it, done. You have to go deeper.
Mm.
And if we're not doing it consciously because we've not been taught that that's the reason why we're here, which is keep evolving, it's going to break on its own for the purpose of the survival of consciousness. It's part of the design.
I, I don't even want to add to that, but no, we could keep
Oh,
going
yeah.
like forever
Yeah.
on that.
No, totally.
But my next question is What would you do or want to experience in life if you had all the time and all the money?
I do exactly what I do right now because I have time and money. And I would keep doing even more of it because that's what I love doing.
That's a good answer. My final question, do you have anything you'd like to leave the audience with?
I desire to remind everyone and invite everyone to remember more than trying to seek, but literally to redirect the energy in memory, in remembrance of who we already are, and to explore the possibility of, if everything was already here, given to me, what would I truly, truly choose for myself? And then going for this, no matter what, no excuse, absolutely zero excuse. Because if we can see it, we can feel it, if we can identify it, it's already ours. We have to be putting ourselves in front of the mirror of that version of ourselves that we have identified in order to see it. If I don't go in front of the mirror, I cannot see myself in it. The reflection cannot come before me coming in front of it. So if I can tune into it and said, who is the me that I want to see in the mirror? I'm going to have to become that me day in, day out. And that is the work. It's not easy, but it's simple. And building the habits to be that is the first step always.
So get off your ass and go do it. No, I'm just kidding.
I love it. No, that's exactly that. Get off your ass. Yeah. I was a personal trainer for 17 years, and that's what I was telling.
Oh,
Yeah. And that's what I was telling.
really?
That's what I was telling my clients. I am at the gym at 4 a.m. Get off your ass and come meet me. So that's the hardest thing you're going to have to do. After, I'll take care of the fun. Like, come to the gym, the 1 hour with me, you will want to come back for it. But I cannot take
I'll whip you into shape.
Totally. Right? But yeah.
Aline, it was super fun to get to know you, and maybe one day we can hang out here in Austin.
For sure.
Or have another in-person podcast.
Definitely.
I'm trying to get a studio built out, but everyone go check her out, Aline Henley, and go check out her Cosmic Compass game coming out. Yeah. The one version's already out, right?
But I'm sold out. I sold every single one of them. So, which is a good problem to have, but that was the time for me to actually say, oh, so the world is ready. We're gonna do a travel, like a lighter version, so that everyone can have it, because
that's good. Yeah.
So absolutely, yeah. Thank you so much.
So when the travel version comes out, go check her out. I'll definitely be getting it.
We'll be playing it.
Yeah. So. Yeah.
That's awesome. Thank you so much.
So, as always, everybody, stay curious. Keep going. You got this. Peace.